For June 13, 2024. Need a roll call?
Mr. Jennings,
Here.
Mr. DiBiaseu,
Here.
Mr. Deegan, Ms. Menard,
Here.
Father J,
Here.
Dr. Nara.
Yes.
We have a call. In accordance to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 38, Section 20F, any member of the public may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting. A member of the public who wishes to record a meeting must first notify the chair and must comply with the reasonable requirements regarding audio or video equipment established by the chair is not to interfere with the meeting. Is anybody recording?
Mr. Manos.
Okay. Pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Need a motion to approve the May 14, 2024 minutes. Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Anybody signed in for citizen report?
No.
Right now, there's 2.0, no new business. 3.1, other matters, MSBA building report, Mr. DiBiaseu.
Yes, sir. All right, so I spoke with Greg today from Castle Blues and also with Tim from Colliers. Contracts have issued for approximately 85%, so 85% of the job has been bid out. We have about another 30 million or so left to bid out. Bidding continues for the remaining portions of approximately 30 million. Additional coordination with equipment is ongoing and will continue into construction. FF&E coordination is ongoing. Final selections will be made over the next several months. Construction contract administration services are underway to ensure the work is completed per the contract documents. Earthwork and soil processing and replacement is nearing completion within the building footprint. Along the east side of the site, excavation of the existing filled material required more excavators than they were shown by the initial site investigators, investigations. This will require an eligible cost adjustment for the site contractor based on the rates established in the bid. The project team is evaluating the quantities to ensure that the accurate and the change order in cost is fair and reasonable. On the positive side, the project is trending towards zero soil exports that will result in some offsetting costs. So what they're more or less saying in that is, the original bid with Kenny Resendes was for 16,000 cubic yards. And they exceeded that when they were doing their digging. Today I looked at the charts to show me all the different areas down on the old football field, footprint for the school, and blue means they went more than they were expected to do according to our surveys. So because of all that, right now they're working on a bill to issue for what they went over. And the initial bill was for $1 million over, but Colliers and Castle Blues are doing their due diligence to review that and try to get it down, because that's I feel and they feel that's that's a lot of money. My question to Suffolk today was, why weren't we informed all along that they were excavating over the 16,000 cubic yards, and that was gonna cost us so much more money? Because we didn't know until we got this bill. Did you have any idea that we're digging that far ahead? No. So to do it, they said when he hit the 16,000 cubic yards, he was closest to the softball field, but he had to go all the way to Locust Street. And they kept going so they wouldn't have to stop the project to reevaluate how many more cubic yards. So here they are finished now, and Kenny Resendes has hit us with this bill. So they're all looking at it. They have found a couple of issues with it. and they're gonna give us a final bill, which will be worked out over by the next school committee meeting that we have. I've asked for an update from them on the building committee meeting, which will be on Monday. I don't know if they're gonna have the accurate records for that. On-site temporary facilities are in full operations. They have all their trailers hooked up and going. Concrete foundations are ongoing with the high wall. It's pretty high, it's pretty impressive. It's 22 feet high, 706 feet long. So it's a big wall. It's a big wall. Along the west side of the high foundation wall, waterproofing has already started. I saw that today. And the first site retaining wall is nearing completion. Underground utilities at the rear of the building have started. It's gonna be going right between auto mechanics and Brian Bentley's new office. So all the utilities are coming in. The work on the main driveway that will take place over the summer is being coordinated. They have been working with our staff here and also with the city. This work will close the main driveway near this summer, so the work can be completed without disrupting regular school operations during the year. The administration has been working with the project team, as I just said. The project is trending on budget, with the storage, outbuilding, and athletics facilities remaining in the project. Several large packages will be bid in the coming months, including demolition, abatement, pre-engineered metal building, so that's the storage building out and back, they still have to price that out, and the landscaping. So a lot of that is what's left of the $35 million that we still have to go for bidding. So that should be coming. We have two things at the building committee this Monday night that they've already bid out and have gone through, and they'll be giving it to us for approval. And then everything else will be coming probably when we return from the summer. And that's it, Mr. James.
All right.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, you probably might have this in your packet. We've been and I do want to add this as a project update because it did come down just this morning. It became official at 10:37. I sent this to you, I believe, in an email, Mr. Jennings, and that is concerning a water shutdown.
Yes.
That's happening. So for the committee's information, that on Tuesday, July 2nd, the water will be shut off in this entire neighborhood area, resulting in absolutely no water being available. They've notified, it's out of our hands, the water department does the notification to the neighbors first in the mailing, then they do a door knock on July 1st, and then it is shutting down for approximately, 6:30 to about 6:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Tuesday, July 2nd. As a result of that, we would not be able to hold this building open for working operations as we have no running water. So we'll be treating that mostly like a snow day. It's an inconvenience, but, yeah, we'll have July 31st, 32nd rather. But yeah, so I just want to,
I'm sure once you come back, you don't have to run your faucets for a while, so.
yes, we'll give new meaning to the word black water, but they're getting it done, and we were notified in plenty of time, so it's good.
Good. Thank you.
Mr. Jennings, do you want to take these bills up now, or
Well,
they're also in the?
I just wanted to ask everybody had any questions on the project. All right, moving on to the MSBA project expenditures, Mr. Kitchen. That'll take care of the bills.
Okay.
The bills for the month of May from KBA is $265,170.03. There are some big contracted services for engineering in there. From Suffolk, it is $1,846,922.12. There is a bill from Unibank, which is for our bonding, when we did the band sale, for $20,037.50. And then there was a late bill, but it's for the Colliers, so it might be in your packet as the supplemental information for $135,027.05.
Okay. What's that?
It was
It was in your additional
It was in the
information,
additional.
it came in a little late, so.
All right, a recommendation to approve the MSBA project expenditures as submitted.
Motion made.
Need a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Moving on, 3.1 other matters, B, personnel, Mr. Benton.
For the committee's information, no action to be taken. This is the listing of appointments that are coming up for the summertime. We also have been proactive in appointing individuals for extracurricular activities. And this is the list that is here. Many of these people have been advisors for a while. We also have extracurricular sports that are there, and going on to the page after that too. It continues on. I don't know if anyone has any questions about any of these. This is for the committee's
All the
information.
sports covered.
Yes. Yes. Next is that we do have advisory appointments, and there is a person, Mr. Peter Muniman from the electronics program. He's a better security and locksmith technician since January of 2014. He's been the director of operations of All Security LLC since 2022. Mr. Muniman is interested in being appointed to, and I would recommend his appointment to the electronics program advisory board for a term of 3 years.
Need a motion?
Motion made.
Need a second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Thank you. As our year is winding down, you now see that there are some.
What's that?
Sorry, just wanna let you know that Mr. Moneyman is online, if
Who?
anybody has any questions for him.
The gentleman.
The appointment.
No. No questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Tell him thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We, as this school year is winding down, we do notify our long-term substitutes that their services have been greatly appreciated. However, the school year ends also their assignment until they're needed once again, and the list is there also. Continuing on onto the next page, you do see, again, some personnel with the ending of their assignments. We have had some resignations, and some of them have a little twist. You do see them there. Eric, Caitlin, Scott, Wendy Dudra, and Rebecca Mello have all resigned, some to take other positions. 2 people have resigned only to apply for, and a little bit later on will be recommended for positions here back in the building.
The first one was just appointed at the last meeting, correct?
He was, but he also, at the same time of his appointment, he also realized that there was an opening for another position in IT. And Caitlin Bird, who was there, she has resigned her full-time LPN clinical lab educator, so she's out at the sites. However, she has applied for and was recently appointed to, did not make tonight's appointments, was recently appointed to a full-time instructor within the program. So it's mostly a lateral move on her part.
Very good. Thank you. And moving on to C, individual employment.
We will take that in
We'll take
executive
that.
session, come back out and deal with that.
C, student travel.
Happening tomorrow. We do have 3 students and 2 teachers, track and field coaches that have submitted an out-of-state travel request for 3 students to participate in the track and field national competition. It's being held in North Carolina, and it begins tomorrow and ends on June 16th. The recommendation is to approve the student travel request submitted by track and field coaches for the out-of-state travel, and request for these 3 students to participate in the national track and field competition being held in North Greensboro, North Carolina, June 14th through the 16th.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Do you know what these 3 individuals qualified in?
Yes, one of them was in high jump, second individual was in triple jump, and the third one, who's only a freshman, is also doing the high jump.
Oh, awesome. Very good. Need a motion to approve?
Motion made.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Thank you.
Moving on to accepting the gifts.
The Roderick's family, and in particular, we're familiar with them through their generous scholarship donations over the years. But Mr. Ken Roderick's he contacted the school and would like to donate his father's car, a 2012 Ford Fusion, to the automotive technology program for the students to gain hands-on experience. I will add in that the shop was contacted and asked about this. so that it's something that would be worthwhile, it would be educationally sound, and it would give some value to the program. They're very enthusiastic about that. So that's the recommendation, is to accept the donation to the Voc-Tech program by Mr. Ken Rogers, Father's Car, a 2012 Ford Fusion.
Need a motion to approve?
Motion made.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And Mr. and Mrs. Brian Umbalina of the Azariata Manufacturing are looking to gift a senior student from Culinary Arts $500 who is continuing in the study of culinary college. And my recommendation is to accept their donation, to award it to the student from Mr. and Mrs. Brian Umbalina of Azariata Manufacturing for that senior in culinary arts who is continuing the study in college.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
And the last one from Mr. Bobby Bailey. He is requesting acceptance of the following sponsorships for the donation from the golf tournament, which is coming up on June the 23rd, benefiting the Diman Athletic Department. We have Toyota of Dartmouth for $500, Diamond HVAC $300, the Roberts Committee $300, Dartmouth Building Supply $150, Fall Riverview Soccer $150, and Camco $150. They're all donating to these, the athletic department's golf tournament. And the recommendation is to accept the sponsorship donations to the golf tournament benefiting the Diamond Athletic Department.
So
Need
moved.
a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
And 3.2, use of facilities.
Use of facilities, the Massachusetts Association of Vocational Administrators, MAVA, has submitted a request to use a classroom for an OCAD Voc-Tech vocational teacher course on Mondays, September through December 4 to 6:30 p.m. And it's to waive all use of the facility fees. Diamond faculty will benefit from the courses. My recommendation is to approve the request from MAVA for the use of a classroom and to waive all fees.
Need a motion? Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Diamond PTO submitted a request to use the student parking lot on Sunday, September 22nd, from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. for their annual car show scholarship fundraiser, and to waive all use of facility fees. My recommendation is to approve the request by the Diamond PTO for the student parking lot, September 22nd, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m., and to waive all fees.
Need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
And the Diamond PTO has submitted a request to use the gymnasium on Friday, November 1 to 2:30 p.m. On to set up for their annual craft fair on Friday, November the 2nd, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. for their for the scholarship that they do for this fundraiser, and to waive all facility fees. And my recommendation is to approve the request of the Diamond PTO to use the gym Friday, November 1st, to set up for the craft fair on Friday, November the 2nd. I think that should be Thursday, November 1st, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. and to waive all
Have a
fees.
motion? Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 3.1 G, school improvement plan. Mr. LaBelle.
So I'm excited to present next year's school improvement plan. We actually had the largest committee that we've had in years, made up of teachers, students, parents, that came together to audit what our current situation is. That's through a survey to our entire school community, and also bring ideas to the table to move our school forward. So we're able to audit areas that we're doing well in, but also areas of growth. And that culminated in 3 buckets of one being student well-being, one is academic and vocational excellence, and then the third one, informed, empowered, and engaged stakeholders. And if you flip through the packet there, you can see action strategies and goals related to each pillar that will help us move our school forward to address some of these challenges and make our school better. So again, three pillars there with action strategies that will be carried out based on the timeline prescribed in the packet.
I've read through this, it's excellent, good job.
Well done.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. discussion of possible revision of the 24-25 Title I plan.
This is going to be presented by Dr. Kate Warren, our Assistant Principal of Academic Affairs, as she is the chair of this, and Katie is here tonight to present it.
Good evening. So we have in the past used our school improvement plan as our Title I plan, but ESSA really asks for a plan that is focused specifically on Title I, bringing together stakeholders to look at how we use our Title I funds. And so this year we brought together a bunch of parents. We did have a para join us for a little bit, a parent liaison, and we were able to look at some research-based strategies to figure out what do we want to do to use our Title I funds effectively and efficiently. And some of the strategies they were looking at, you have the plan in your packet, but we're really looking at how do we increase student achievement, and it's all related to the use of funds to improve student success. How do we use Title I funds to increase achievement through parent engagement? That's their first area of focus. How do we increase student achievement with math fluency? And that's related to our accountability and improving accountability overall, at least 1 point with mathematics growth. And then how do we use, how do we increase student achievement as related to accelerated coursework? And so those were the 3 goals that they were looking at. That was after looking at all of our accountability data, looking at some research as well. And so they have some different strategies and steps here, but one of the things that they found in looking at this is it would be helpful to have some positions to support this too. This doesn't touch Diman's budget, but instead touches upon the Title I funds that come through entitlement. And so one of the positions that would help with that, they found, would be a community engagement specialist to help support the PTO and the PAC groups, and actually to get into the community as well. And so that would work, that position would work with the parent liaison and the parent groups. And so we've got an evolving job description for that, but that person would hold monthly parent forums as well, talking about things like chronic absenteeism, but could also talk about going out into the community and talking with parents, talking with various stakeholders, talking about what's happening at Diman in various different ways. That person would develop a recruitment plan for the parent groups. There are various things that happen within this plan that community engagement specialist would work on. And then the other position that's in here would be a math coach. We've been working with Mary Ferrarini as math interventionist. That was funded through ESSER, which was the COVID funds. That ESSER plan does end. Fortunately for us, ESSA is entitlement and will continue for us. And we'd like to add on to that position with the math coach. Our mathematics department's worked with us. They've already identified, I believe it's around 47 different students just in the underclassmen grades alone that will benefit from this support. We want to add on to that with a sense of competition. They've identified IXL as a platform that would help with competition in the way that vocabulary.com has in the English side. They want to work on applied mathematics videos to have students show applied mathematics in their programs and record some of that and get the kids excited about math overall. So the math coach would facilitate a lot of that work. And those are some of the things that would evolve with this position. So that's what the parents came up with in working together with the math department and coming up with some of these things.
And question?
No, what do you think?
It's aggressive and it is needed. The specificity of a math coach is something that we have done on our own, and this now kind of memorializes it as where we're going and how we're going to help our students, specifically in mathematics. The idea of a community engagement person, we have that kind of already with one other person here, but this is going to augment our diversity, equity, and inclusion person also. There are elements in the community who we need to reach out to and tell them about Diman and how Diman is such a school that can help their children.
And this also would include parents.
Absolutely, and there's a
That's
partnership,
important.
and you're gonna
Really
hear that
important.
coming up in something about, I'm going to, there's a triangulation there of the parents, the school, and the community in general.
Because the parents really, really don't understand what's happening. Unless somebody is, I mean, the children are telling, their children are telling them, but that's not always the.
Mr. Kitchen and myself attended the Title I meeting when it came down to asking certain questions, and it was a very active and lively discussion. They are certainly engaging people, they have definite ideas, they are looking to the future.
Good.
And it was good, it was a good meeting.
Good.
So you used the word aggressive in regards to, should these positions come to fruition, how soon do you want it? Is it imminent, or can it wait till the beginning of the school year?
Oh, the beginning of the school year, the next, I was looking at over the summertime, and I did speak with Dr. Warren today, she would have to sit down with us, and what is this gonna look like, and how is it gonna fit the schedule? So this is something that, thank goodness, we have the summer break to come up, they say we have this person, again, a lot of things being formulated, part-time, how many hours, we have a part-time person right now.
Job
who can say-
description.
A job description, we mostly have that right now, but we have some students who struggle in certain areas in mathematics, and that's what this is for.
Good.
And it's not disruptive, it's very inclusive, and it's needed,
Okay.
The recommendation is to approve the 24-25 Title I plan
I'll make
as
that
presented by
motion.
Dr. Warren.
I have a motion, need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you, Kate.
Thank you.
Okay, I, Student Opportunity Act.
Just before I begin this brief presentation, I do want to point out the basis for it, and I'd ask you if you would please, Dr. Roger, if you take one and please pass to your left, that would be appreciated. You have in your packet a summary of the plan, and I'm going to briefly, hopefully as briefly as possible, to describe it and what the benefits of this are. So first of all, the Student Opportunity Act is something that is required by the Department of Education. We have submitted, and we, thank goodness, working with Mr. Kitchen together, because it does involve the utilization of some monies, on how to benefit certain classifications of students. What we have here, let me pass this down for yourself, Andrew, and Mr. Kitchen also, is that we identified with the red dots a couple of areas where we could do better. Chronic absenteeism and out-of-school suspension. Now, when you hear chronic absenteeism, it sounds awful. But yet, there are certain cultural and ethnic groups that seem to be out more often than others.
What is the definition of chronic absenteeism? Is it like 12 consecutive days?
No, it is over the course of a school year, 10% or 10,
Okay.
they will get it that way, so in our case would be.
Unexcused.
Yes.
Okay.
They're absent from school chronically.
Okay.
And what the Student Opportunity Act, within the budget that Diman has received from the Department of Education, they're saying you should utilize some of this money on how to engage these students. How do you do that? What is your plan? And they give you a 3-year window in order to formulate a plan and work out how do you reach these students. Who did we look at? In particular, we noticed by our percentages that with chronic absenteeism, students with disabilities, low-income students, Hispanic or Latino, and multi-race non-Hispanic or Latino students seem to be out more than everyone else. In particular, we noticed that with out-of-school suspensions with students, that there were certain groups of students that seemed to fall into that category than others. And we saw that students with disabilities, low income, African-American Black, and multi-race non-Hispanic were in the category of out-of-school suspension. These numbers are based on what we report to the state for our end of year that we send to them. So they then put them into these categories. Our Student Opportunity Act that we have is how to reach these students. Let's start with the absenteeism first. What can we do? We were proposing, similar to what we just heard with the school improvement and the Title I rather, that there be an engagement person. So we're gonna capitalize on what we already have in place, and we're gonna capitalize with our diversity, equity, and inclusion coordinator who we have, Mr. Bailey, in order to reach these groups? Is there something there that we're missing, or the family is missing, and why don't they send them to school? Is it something going on at home? Is it because of their culture or ethnicity? And we don't know that. We have the data, we now need to move on it. We found the same thing with out-of-school suspensions. We would have a family engagement person, very similar to what you just heard, and a part of the money that we receive would go there in order to reach out to the families. What is it? Why is your son or daughter in out-of-school suspension all the time, or seems to be that way? How can we work on that? And that's where, again, the DEI coordinator, coupling with the family, it's called a family engagement individual, would work with them to try to resolve that. Coming to school on time, is there a transportation problem? I had a senior this year who was late all the time, and for some reason, she sent me a email saying that she needed to talk to me about something terrible in her life. And I went, oh my God. She didn't know which bus to take. And you say, okay, but a simple question in that family's mind, or in this case, the student's mind, that she needed answered, was solved within 30 seconds by bringing her to
That's amazing.
our dean of students, who's in charge of buses, and she was confused because her family had moved, she didn't know where the bus is, though she's embarrassed, she's a senior, a lot of things. But this is where this person could reach out to the family and say, hey, we've got transportation for you, you don't have to be absent. You know, you seem to be in trouble, do you need counseling, which we can offer inside the building? Do you have anger management issues? So the Department of Education has accepted this plan. It needs to go before the school committee for also your acceptance, that we would move forward with this. It's not going to impact the budget. It does not take away any money from anything that we already have planned. It's just that this is something the department has noticed on our numbers that we need to work upon over a 3-year period of time to improve.
I would say that the more help we can give to the kids and their families, the better.
No, I totally agree. I have two questions. One, if it's not impacting the budget, who's doing it?
It's gonna be done by, if it's not impacting the budget, we have the DEI coordinator, who's already with us, and it'll be the family engagement person, who we already have with us too. We're gonna capitalize on Mary Elizabeth Perry,
Yeah.
and we're gonna capitalize on what you just heard from Dr. Warren as a position to engage. We're gonna utilize that, and that's out of Title I funds.
Gotcha, okay.
I look at Paul, though, is that good?
My second question is, for absenteeism, why was the English learners left or not targeted when it's higher than one other category in the same?
The English language learners were folded into that. If you look in my, I didn't dot it, my mistake. But if you do look at that you have a large summary. If you do look within that summary, you would see that they are targeted. I guess I just didn't talk them today. And again, that might be a language barrier, and we don't know that. We don't know why they're not coming in. And we don't have a large population of English language learners compared to our regular population. We have, you'll hear numbers that ranges up to about, maybe have about 37 to 40 in the building that are receiving services. But they just seem to fall into that category, that when they're out, they trip a number, that number is here.
And they're all within 4 or 5%, but I think.
Oh, sure.
The faded numbers are the areas of concern.
Correct.
So it's not really faded. It's
The high-
3 and 4, and then if you look over at like 9th grade passing, the concern is that there's only, looks like 81.3% of the African American and 87 in Hispanic and Latino, so it's a concern there also. There were other areas, it's just where we wanna
Sure.
put up.
No, Dan, when you look at, 4 or 5 percentage points, but the overall is still 15.5%.
Yes.
That's high.
It is, and that's where, the school comes in at, for all students, it's 15.4, and you go, okay, so 15% of our population is chronically absent. That's how they list it.
What is, I think Mrs. Jennings asked you that, what is chronic?
Chronically absent is 10%. They're out 10% of the school year.
So we're on 130 days.
Excused and
18.
unexcused.
Yeah, and it's
So
total.
18 days excused and unexcused, so in this post-COVID world, where every school is struggling with chronic absenteeism, we weren't immune to it last year either. So, you know, the kids are getting the doctor's notes more often, right, they're out, but it's excused in a parent's eyes, but it still contributes to chronic absenteeism. So that's why you saw it reflected in the school improvement plan, you see it reflected in the SOA plan, trying to aggressively go after that.
And as, I'll capitalize exactly on what Mr. Rebello just said, and as you know, when you miss a day of shop, there's no way you can make that up. And that's, our goal is to make sure that these students coming to Diman are here, they're learning, and they're in shop, and they become employable. And you know from employment, one of the first things that trips being terminated is your attendance at work, and your employment.
How different would that 15.4 be if you broke it into excused versus unexcused?
I think
Because
it'd
if
be-
someone had
I
knee
think-
replacement, they're out for 20,
They're
I don't know,
chronic.
but the point being is, the problem isn't the excused issue, the problem is the unexcused.
correct.
But if the excused is 90% of the 15.4, then we are in
And the
def
state,
conflict.
and the state does not treat it any differently. They just see
Okay.
that you're an absent student, you're an absent student.
But,
But I think, I agree with Dr. Rush, I think it has to be nuanced, and if you have someone who's got strep throat,
Yeah.
you want them to stay home.
Or an operation,
Yeah.
or a broken leg, or a.
No, one's contagious, one's not, we understand if you're staying home, you have a broken leg, but if you have strep throat, you don't want that child coming in and getting other people sick,
Yeah.
right?
But
I think it's a nuanced number.
They just, they paint that picture with the same brush, and
It
that's
is.
kind of difficult.
Yeah, and they
but
did-
we internally can make that distinction, what 15.4 truly represents. If,
We can, Dr. Raj, it is still in the state's eyes, and this is what it's tough about nuancing it, we can for internal purposes, we're still given a rating on our school about accountability systems. So they give you numbers, and this year we got 0 out of 4. For that, I'd like to say we were still the highest accountability rating in the area, which is great, but you see some of the neighboring districts with 40, 50, 60% chronic absenteeism, which is just to the point that it's affecting everyone. But as
Yeah.
much as we do nuance it, we do have to, you know, focus on it, because at the end of the day, we get points.
we
for
get our
it.
DEI coordinator to go ahead and address that issue, when 90% of it was strep throat, what influence is it gonna make? That's the
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Why are we pulling our DEI coordinator to say, okay, you've got strep throat?
But true, but we also have that DEI coordinator to reach out to those families that are keeping their sons or daughters home.
That I don't disagree,
For-
but what we're asking
we need to
is,
get them in school.
Yeah.
And again, it's a state situation.
I mean, I think it's awesome, and I like to, you know, to take a look at this, this is very good information. But years ago, and maybe the world's changing, but guidance used to handle all that. The student was having issues, and the guidance had that particular student. They used to make the phone calls and do the work.
And I agree with you, when I was dean of students, I did that kind of material, but the world, you
So are
said it
you
best,
telling me that
things are
nobody's
changing.
doing this?
Oh, yeah.
No,
I mean,
no.
if this is a problem, we haven't addressed it.
I think the
It's an
plan
issue.
is taking it a step beyond our weekly meetings. We have a student success team meeting weekly with every adjustment counselor, guidance counselor, and administration's there as well, to talk about who's approaching chronic absenteeism, who's going over initial calls, tier 1, where everyone gets that first call. Second, we're bringing them in for a meeting. The plan you're seeing is that third option of getting somebody out there now. We're doing everything we can from here as far as meetings, calls, but the plan is taking it a step further.
That young lady who was coming in late and or staying out of school because she didn't know where the bus stop was. And it could have been cured up in a phone call, and it was, finally. She reached out too. It's just that, it's another step on what are we doing?
She is
to stem
17,
the trend.
right?
Yeah.
Oh,
She's 17, okay, she's 18. I mean, come on, you know?
Yeah. It's, I mean, when you were getting your late pass, they always used to ask, you know, I was late, they used to ask, why were you late? Now, she said she was late because she didn't know what bus to take, and that letter should be given right to the dean of students.
And
So-
he did uncover it.
I'm just saying that that was always a question that was asked if you were late. You know what I mean?
And you got detention.
I think the number that's most concerning to me that Kitch mentioned, I mean, there's a 20% difference in the ninth graders passing from high to low. I mean, I see the chronic absenteeism, the suspension, you're talking 3 or 4 points, 5 points, but there's a 20-point difference, 20 percentage. And that's the number that's most concerning to me on that. Under the ninth graders who are passing, that 81% of one category, 87 of another.
Mhm.
I mean, that's the most striking number on that page to me.
Yeah. So that's where the DEI coordinators has to take most precedence.
I mean, to me, the absenteeism, I mean, the average is 15, right? I mean, they're all within a couple of points of that. But that number there is the most.
Is that number, is that number including transfers as well? Because ninth grade, I mean, that would make sense if.
That's reported by us, I'm not sure.
That makes sense if it was incorporating kids that were ours in our cohort, but transferred out there. And I'm not sure of that. It is the staggering number though, to your point.
That's the only one that really sticks out to me.
See if I can get a better answer for you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, you talk about how times have changed, and Mr. Yazoo, Mr. Ben, you remember, 10 days
10 days.
every year?
Oh, yeah.
10 days shop, 10 days academics.
10 days a year,
Over
no
10
more than
days, you
40.
risk being tossed out.
10 days, no more than 40 in 4 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you end up coming back
And
and
you, or
making
you
up
wouldn't
days.
get your vocational degree.
Yeah.
But it was the guidance department that did it.
Yes.
Sometimes the old days did work.
Yeah.
But thank you for that. It is my recommendation that this Student Opportunity Act be approved as presented, and I have noted your questions to get them for you.
So I need a motion on that?
Motion.
Need a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I thank you for your questions on that too, thank you.
3.1J, surplus equipment, Mr. Kitch.
We're gonna get rid of some of the items in advanced manufacturing. Voc-Tech has another lift that they're removing. Welding has some welders, and then they put some lots together of various items. Culinary, and electrical and carpentry. Building properties on the back page. Apologize.
What's the website for this?
Auctions International. .com, I believe. Auctions.
Somebody asked me and I didn't know.
Yeah, when we post these, we do notify the department head and then inform them to notify their advisory board also. So, we're in the trade.
So it should be purchased locally before going on the site?
Well, no, they would just bid on the site.
Gotcha.
All right, motion is to approve.
Motion made.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, 3.1K, monthly finance report, Mr. Kitchen.
We're closing out our year. You'll see a little later on, there are some expenditures, so we'll be spending down some of the items that the shops want. And I don't see an issue.
You're at about 20% unused so far? What
It's
do you
probably a little
expect?
less than that now, because we still have one payroll, like the summer payroll.
What do you expect to be by the end of the fiscal year?
We'll remain close to last year, probably go 1.4, 1.3 below the,
Million or percent?
1.3 million.
Million, okay. Percentage wise, what is that though?
I don't know, off the top of my head, I'll be honest.
Well, if your budget's three.
It's probably 3%, no, 4%, it's
Well,
probably
we
close to 4.
allowed to keep a certain number or a certain percentage?
We have to be within 5.
For next
So we'll
school
be-
spending.
so we can be, so it'll be about 4.
We can only carry over.
Yeah, 5.
Right, 5%.
But I shouldn't say the difficulty, but the blessing is that I guess we have a lot of either donations or the grants and supporting a lot of the shops. So-
Any questions, comments? Moving on to expenditures.
On the expenditures, Mazak Corporation, is it for advanced manufacturing? It is a Mazak CNC machine. Mohawk lifts is for auto technology. It's an alignment rack for the freshman area, so it's not a full.
Infant simulation.
You never had one, Jeff?
So they currently have an alignment machine in the freshman area. It's about 15 to 18 years old, and they asked to replace it. It's not a full machine, it's just a wall mount, so they can get a feeling of before they move to the sophomore year. Building supplies from Gentech, boilers, boiler service. Rice machinery is for a vertical milling machine for building and property. Canon Solutions is 2 copiers, or I shouldn't say copiers, the printer copier scanners for drafting for 2 classrooms. First America is the lease on our student devices that would be coming out of ESSER. Verco is for student furniture. We are gonna buy some of our desks and chairs, so next month, if we have a meeting, I hope, I'm trying to get the KI chair for about 400.
Are they gonna hang on to it?
No. We'll
Sorry.
inform them, yeah.
But if you just move it.
Yeah. Then for health assisting, we did apply for a skills capital grant for health assisting. We won't receive a notice until the fall, but these are some of the highlighted items that they're looking to do: baby simulating, vital signs,
Would we be able,
EKG. What?
would we be able to use, if we get the
All-
grant in the fall?
No, we won't supplement it.
We can't,
reimburse
so you
it.
can't reimburse it?
I don't think, the grant that we applied was for 1.8 million. My best guess is that we may get 900,000 or so it wouldn't cover all their needs. If we do get the grant, it doesn't expire until June of '26. So what we wouldn't, for health and medical, especially for health, we look to replace all the beds for the school, and that would furnish all the schools and some of the simulated machines on the walls for both systems. And then they're looking for some technology as far as, it's an anatomy table. So basically it gives you all, everything, nervous, muscular, blood, and you can go through it. So they're based on basically 6 different cadavers. I lost my dream. Generac is health assisting simulator. Wally Computer is for ProWeb, which is a software that we bought, basically a system software that we have, license. First Family is LPN. Limbs and Things are.
What is it? I'm sorry. Health First Family Care Center, what is that?
I don't know, I know it's a licensing agreement, I don't know what it's used for.
Okay, I'm sorry, okay, yep.
So the first thing for limbs and things is an ear examination simulator. The second is a physical assessment trainer. Pocket nurse is another infant simulator for medical assisting. Quantum machinery is for jigs for the new tables and advanced manufacturing. Bedford Welding is 4 of those small multi-rig tools. And then Mr. Sweet is for the meal allowance for the travel to Skills Capital for later this month. We do the cards, so he goes out and buys them. So it's easier than having them on the Visa cards for the kids. And then that's the travel for the Skills National Conference also.
Need a motion to approve the
Motion made.
expenditures?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, M.
These are future encumbrances for next year. Ms. Christine Silva put the list together, basically with our annual transportation, insurance, obligations to Ford PD, to the city, also for water, and the annual leases that we utilize that begin July 1 usually. Because our retirement payment, payment has to be done July, and then it's gone through the year.
And 17,000 in postage, huh?
That's what they load up on the machine.
Wow.
Yeah, well, there's 1,450 kids here, so hopefully we can, I'm sure a lot of the electronic notifications are going out too, but it's still postage.
He's looking at something.
Postage just keeps
And it's
going
going
up.
up, it's going up again.
And,
All right, need a motion to
Motion
approve?
made.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye, opposed?
So they deliver our packets.
And house building,
All right, I asked Mrs. Torres to supply us with information on the projects that we did this year and projects that will be carried over into next year. So if you look, pretty impressive lists of completed items in order. Take a look at this. She has a couple of things set up for next year. And same thing if you look at the different,
is this an updated list that we had on our desk?
Yes.
Yes.
And Mrs. Torres is
Oh, I'm
online
sorry.
if anyone has questions.
okay, I apologize, I wasn't looking at the updated one. So again, the same. Now, what she didn't put in here, was items that people have been submitting, 'cause I know Somerset submitted for something for next year, and that's not on here. And that's what I was really looking for, is what we were going into next year with projects.
Yeah, this is 23.
It's 23,
So
24.
The second page is 24, 25.
Yeah, but even on that, I know that, my town had submitted something, and I don't see it on here.
Do you want Mrs. Torres to
No.
answer that?
Is she on?
She is, yes. Go ahead, Mrs. Torres.
Hi, good evening. The items that make it onto this list are the ones that we are going to be completing and that we have a plan for. That question came in, and we have to go out and we have to assess it and see what it is we're gonna be able to do or not do, and then reply to them. Once I have that answer, when we return back in September, then it will go on the list. Not every single request that comes in gets on this list, because I don't know if we're gonna be doing it or not.
All right, I
So,
just-
once we know what we do, then I place it on here with the status.
Right. Maria, I just wanna make sure that we're divvying up the work between the four communities, because I noticed on here, Somerset and Swansea have 0, while Four Rivers got 2.5 pages, and Westport's got a handful of items. So, I just wanna make sure that if we get something in for Four River, and something in for Somerset, I'd rather see the Somerset get the project, because we're doing nothing there. We're trying to keep all four communities getting projects, not just Four River.
Well, when you say Fall River has 2.5 pages, I'm not sure what you're referring to. There are about
Well,
5
I'm looking at
items.
1 page,
Here.
2 page, and then to the 3rd page, all four. I'm sorry, I apologize, it's 2 different separate things, but
No.
1.5 pages, 1.5 pages. So,
So
just if you
you
could
can
keep a
look at
food for thought on that, I would like to see myself, Mr. Chairman, see that the projects are divvied up between the four communities.
I think though, if you look at this, a lot of these in Fall River were completed. They were
During this
probably
year.
started the year prior to, so carried over, so, I mean, not trying to.
Yep, no, I understand.
But,
We're not turning away
Right.
projects.
Maybe
from the
Swansea's
community,
not
are we?
just requesting services.
And then Maria, would you like to just fill us in on the house that we're gonna be building September, how they making out with the land and getting the foundation
Yes.
going?
Yep, so they have acquired a building permit, so that is all set. They're ready to go with that. They're wrapping up their finances. They're closing the 3rd week of June on the financing. I would like Mr. Kitchen to speak on the insurance piece, because they sent us they sent me the quote for their insurance, and I showed it to Mr. Kitchen. It did say that there was $1 million liability, but the contract says that there's a $2 million aggregate. It didn't speak to that on the contract. So I did mention it to Mr. Kitchen. He said it's probably in the policy. So I spoke with the homeowner, I told her to check with the insurance company, and she replied back that they had some questions. It's my understanding when I checked today that they have spoken to Mr. Kitchen, and apparently we're waiting for an answer from our insurance company. So that's all I know as far as the insurance.
I spoke with the applicant's insurance yesterday. Hub's coming in tomorrow, so we'll deal with it tomorrow.
All right.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
I'm speaking with Hub tomorrow. They're coming into the office at 10.
Okay. Yeah, other than that, the land, they're working on the land and clearing the land, getting the foundation ready.
Awesome. All right, thank you, Maria.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else to add, or?
That's it. I mean, the project's complete and the house is hopefully gonna have the foundation in so we can work on it in the fall.
Yep. All right, great, thank you. Oh, LPN program update?
Is Laurie online? No. On the LPM program, I was provided a one sheet here with an update from Ms. Brogan. The current students that you see there, 23 students, and they are graduating tomorrow night here at Diman at 6 p.m. Looking ahead, as you see, accepted for the fall of 2024, full-time day, we're at 50 students, which is very good and very solid. And if you see of that 50, 40 have paid $350 seat fee, 10 will be paid within 30 days of this notice. So as we end one year and look forward to another, I think we're in pretty good shape.
Great, thank you. Moving on to P, the special education subcommittee.
After the last school committee meeting, Mrs. Pacheco and I met to discuss, we hadn't met in quite a while, to discuss the growing program as well as the staff and the special education departments. And she provided a very thorough report in your packet. We met at 5 o'clock tonight. I hope you all had the opportunity to look over what she sent.
I didn't get.
The report emailed or sent all members? I'm sorry, what?
Only to the subcommittee.
Okay, well, we will forward over to everyone for a very thorough report, detailing all the responsibilities of all the staff members, the liaisons, the contracted services we have. I think most important to note is that each year in the last 3 or 4 years, we've increased special ed enrollment by about 20 students. And so in the fall, we're scheduled to have about 170 students.
As of right now.
As of right now.
So, and as guidance continues to accept students, we may see that number increase.
Which is already about 20 more than we have this year. Okay. She did provide reports on remind me the woman's name, that report.
Oh, Dr. Margaret Reed.
Margaret Reed, which summarizes the recommendations that she's made through her report, and then the tiered, forgive me,
Tiered focus monitoring
Thank
that
you.
we're doing.
Okay. And there were no recommendations for that.
Correct, we're doing full compliance.
One of the noted points in the increased students is those with a social emotional need, which is going up. Statistically, she provides us a 3-year report, and we're definitely seeing those numbers going up. So they need to make sure that all of their needs are being met. You want to add anything to that, Jen?
That's great.
She did also provide the current workforce to address these needs and her concerns that it may have been slightly it is currently compromised, and she's anticipating that as the need grows, we need to fill bodies as well.
Yes.
Anything else you want to add?
Any other questions? I just definitely participating in the transition meetings that I'm participating in right now with my staff. We are definitely seeing an increase in that social emotional needs of the students coming in from social emotional programs, behavior programs, so in alternative settings. I definitely do feel that there's a need to have that person on staff. I mean, just listening to, Mr. Bentley discussing the SOI report and the chronic absenteeism and concerns with the students with disabilities. And some of those children could be potentially those kids suffering with mental health issues, you have ADHD, your autism, so I just think having that dedicated person, is gonna be very beneficial.
What's the title of that person?
School adjustment counselor.
That's what we approved.
Yes,
Yes.
we do approve at the last meeting, yes.
Awesome.
All right, and just send that report out to the other members. All right. Moving on to Hugh, Assistant Superintendent Principal report.
So just one item today, and that's just to briefly tell the committee about our year-long process to prep for our collaborative conference with NEASC. NEASC is the accreditation entity for all New England public schools. And our accreditation is gonna be determined in 2026. So this first part is, they send a 10-member team to the district all year long. Every member of the school had a different responsibility to prepare for this visit. And you see there the 2 priority areas that came out of this. So their new process is to work collaboratively with the district to identify strengths and areas to improve on, and it comes out in 2 priority areas. So by 2026, we'll need to complete both of these areas. The first one is, and this is a requirement by NEASC, that all schools must have a vision of a graduate. But I also think it's gonna be a great practice for us to determine what a Diamond graduate looks like. And that will be a whole community process where we are actively engaged with every member of our community to determine what does it mean to graduate from Diamond. So to be able to have a North Star for everyone from here, from this committee, all the way down to the students, to understand if I graduate from Diamond, this is what it means. And that's really what a vision of a graduate is. We'll engage in that process next year in preparation of 2026. And then the second one is curriculum. They are looking for consistent format between the vocational and the academic piece. Of course, being a vocational school, there's a lot more areas to make sure that it's all the same page. They're really looking for that. I feel like that one is one that we will be able to accomplish over the next year. On that second page, you see commendations, things that they found Diamond to be doing really well. One thing that they kept harping on, in addition to they couldn't believe that we didn't have cell phones here and kept asking us how do we do that, was the dedication of faculty, staff, administration, and the pride everyone they talked to had, including students. They were truly Diamond strong, I guess, in their pride for our school. So you see the 7 areas that they really focused on as far as things we were doing well. And then on that third page, special considerations, things to take into consideration for 2026. They don't have to be complete, but they said keep it in mind as we move into the new building. And some things that you've seen there, such as stakeholder voice, professional collaboration, and then our structure going into a new building, knowing that we're gonna have more students, how are we gonna structure that building? So those are the 3 special considerations.
Just one thing, the students, it's not from here down to the students. The students, without them, none of us are here. The
That's a great
students that are
point.
up here, we're all down here.
Yeah, I love that.
So they're the stars.
Yep, we serve them, you're right.
You want a hug?
They need the hugs.
You must have learned that on that trip you went on.
I learned that on that trip.
All set?
All set, yes.
Thank you. Superintendent report, Mr. Bennett.
Yep, very briefly. Admission report, again, we are at 385 accepted students for our next school year. Keeping that in mind that there were 773 applicants overall, just for the freshman class. Keep in mind that this summer will be a busy summer, as students will be applying to come in as grade 10, 11, and 12 students, and we will fit them in where
12?
appropriate. Yeah, we take transfers.
Just that last year.
We did that for the first time last year.
And they'll fulfill their vocational requirements?
No, one of the caveats on grade 12 is prior vocational training. So a student from New Bedford Voc,
Okay.
who may transfer into the Fall River area, or the greater Fall River community here, could be considered. Those coming in on grade 11 will have a reduced ability to go out on co-op, probably not at all. And those coming in on grade 10 will be able to fulfill it within their 3 years of being there.
I have a question. There's, some of the school districts, when they went to choice school, they opened it up to everybody, 9 to 12. And then they found out right away that they were getting students that were kicked out of other schools, suspended, problems. So they just went back to just accepting freshmen. How did we make out with students this year, since it was our first year of accepting 11th and 12th
I
graders?
thought it went very well. So we use the same, admissions process scoring system. So it is based on openings. So if I have a few openings in drafting, I take just the same format from the top application score down until that's full. I haven't had any issues with
Now, how many, do you know offhand how many applications you have in the Southwood Junior Senior year?
as of right now, I don't have that data,
Okay.
because application deadline is July 15th.
Thank you.
How many people who were accepted have turned down the acceptance?
I cannot give you that exact number, because it's been ongoing, or they were concentrating on when a student declined, they immediately took the next student in, because the target goal was 385 to stay there. But I will have that, that's a good question.
Or maybe how many have been
You know,
accepted
I-
since the first?
How many left out of the 700?
I don't ask that question, I ask how many are we up to, but I should be asking how many are accepted, and then say, no, I've changed my mind.
Yeah. I have another quick question. The next sheet over with the student enrollment. On day one, opening day, we're slightly below, especially for sophomores, at 366. Was there any effort to get that number back up to the 375?
Oh, yes.
Students who,
Oh, yeah.
so no one wanted to transfer in sophomores?
The effort is made, because I am concerned with that when we have an opening enrollment of, let's say, 1,450 students, and we're going to end the year, as you see today, with 1,417. We have some students totally out of district, but I hear what you're asking, that why can't we replace those students?
Especially the sophomores, I mean, junior, senior, I understand.
Sophomore year is critical.
That
And we know
number
that.
includes about 10 acceptances as well. So it was lower than that. We accepted about 10 or 11
Okay.
students, got it up to 366.
So I mean, if we're looking at the freshman class, they're at 372. I mean, if we accept 13 additional students next year's sophomore class.
We'll try.
Yes, we know our capacity, and we are handling it, we're handling the capacity, so, and I hear what you're saying, let's keep that capacity up, where possible.
So we accept the 385
We do.
for freshmen. We
Yes.
also accept the 385 for the sophomores that,
We would like to get
well, when they
that
were
number.
freshmen, we did.
Yes,
So that number's dropped from that 385 down to the 366. So do we bring it back up to the 385?
Right.
Or are
Yes.
we?
the goal, the quick answer and the goal is yes, but we have to have that pool of transfer students who want to come in on grade 10. And some people, they just don't, some students rather don't. But the effort is made to get that number back up, because we know that enrollment drives the budget, and I know that clearly.
Do you contact the kids that have been, the students that were not accepted the first round? In other words,
I mean, as freshmen, if they
Yeah.
wanna come back as
Yeah.
sophomores, that can be done, and it has been done.
Sounds
Because
reasonable.
again, the advertisements are made, it's put out there to the schools. But yes,
Yeah.
every effort can be made.
That sounds like a good idea.
But 385 would have us well over 1,500.
Yeah,
So
you got,
if we were,
the upper limit of our building really is 1,450. That's the, right now,
Mhm.
that's the upper limit. Once we get really up close to that 1450, it's tight. It's tight. On the shop side, it's not too bad, but on the academic classrooms, it gets tight.
And this was the first year we took 385, if my memory serves me correct. So what you're seeing in that sophomore year is based on a year before was a 375. So right now, if we have 372 students.
We did 385 last year too. This is the second year of 385. It's the second year.
This was the second year, this coming class is the second year.
No,
This is gonna be the third.
The class coming in.
It's the second year.
the current freshmen who are now sophomores
No, the current kids who ended today or ended last day of school.
as freshmen.
With 385.
Why don't you let
That
him
was-
answer the question?
My first year in here, August of '22, when I sat for the admissions meetings that we had, we pushed that limit, we did push that limit to 375. We went 365 with a 10-student override to get to that. This year, when I was asked, we said, no, I said, I believe we can handle 385. So this current school year.
So it was the
that we
first
are in,
one?
We did take
We should
385,
be.
was our first year. In fact.
The freshmen that are here
Yes,
now.
and in fact, this upcoming year, we're going for 385 again,
Right.
with the city of Fall River deferring some spots off to the communities in order to keep it a higher number, coming in from Somerset, Swansea, and
So
West
that
Warwick.
375 would actually be the ones going into the junior year now.
Mhm.
Correct.
Yeah.
They're current sophomores going into junior year.
I think the impressive thing on here, Mr. Bentley and
385 twice. Current year and the one
Mr. Bello, is the 317 at the beginning of last year, the end of last year, and then we brought in 241, so we brought in like 24 students in the senior year.
Yes.
And we still finished up at 331, which would be a lot more than the 317 we would have had we not started that program.
The focus really is on retention. We'd rather not lose students.
Right.
And my goal, again, is that to keep the numbers high as we start to make the move into the new building, is to keep the numbers up there.
How's our dropout rate? You know, that was a big thing 2
2 years ago, we were at our dropout rate, our
Yeah.
graduation rate's at 98% 2 years ago. This past year, it was 97.5, which is just one of the highest in the state. Our dropout rate, I believe, is below 1%.
So a lot of these students, for example, 10 students are left in their senior year, went back to sending schools, well, that could be part of our.
Look, if they, to be fully transparent, if a student from Diman transfers back to one of the sending communities and then drops out of school, it becomes that
Their-
community's
their-
dropout, not ours. So some students who find this particular school not to their liking, they don't drop out, instead they transfer, and then other things get in their way, let's put it that way. But the retention rate, we'd rather keep the retention high.
Yeah, we unfortunately do see a few students, to answer your question, Mr. DiBiasio, about seniors leaving. The number's usually small, but it's ones that either trip at the finish line or have an extraordinary event happen to them where they miss school, they get behind, and going back to their sending districts where they don't have to complete vocational programming allows them to graduate on time in certain circumstances. That's why you'll see some students leave, or they move. Some are out of state, some are moving, which happens as well.
Thank you.
Okay.
So, just to briefly go through the other, you also have in your packet the latest co-op report from Mr. Joseph Marcisson, and he has 253, because he's now folding in the juniors that are going on co-op, and they're actively placed. And again, he's included the locations, the salary, and the total number. NEASC, Mr. Rebello's already touched upon that, and I do say that on the report Mr. Rebello gave, please look at what comes next, which is the follow-up included in your packet of what we need to do next. And then lastly, we do have a school competition, which we heard is going to Atlanta, Georgia. And we have the largest group in the state of Massachusetts going to Atlanta, Georgia. We have 40 people, and we are the largest group, and they're going to have a great time down there, including the debate between current President Biden and the presumptive Republican candidate, Mr. Trump. They will be there where, the kids will be there where the debate's taking place. So it's gonna be an interesting conference.
They
But
probably
we
won't
wish
go
them
to
well,
Great.
and that's my report.
All right,
The
great,
students
thank
or the
you.
candidates?
Thank you.
Moving on to calendar events. We got a revised meeting schedule for next year?
We reverted back to the second Thursday.
Yep, okay.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
The 9th instead of the 16th on the January.
So the last day of school is Monday, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It's going to be Monday the 17th. The students will be given a fond farewell, tears in their eyes, I'm sure, as they climb onto the buses or their cars for the final departure. We will be out there wishing them well for the summer, wishing them safe also at all times.
Okay, and our next school committee meeting will be in August.
August 8th?
Yep,
August 8th.
August 8th. Do we have anything that came in? Mr. Bennett?
Yes,
There's an invoice.
we do have an item that was not reasonably anticipated as it just came in, but in as much as we're not having another school committee meeting until August, I'm placing it before the school committee tonight, is that on KR Resendes, incorporated an invoice, you see it in the amount that's there, $10,130.
Need a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second, all in favor? Aye, opposed? That was all, right? All right. With correspondence, the next meeting is August 8th, and then we have a reason to go into executive
Yes, we
session.
do, Mr. Chairman, pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 31, Section 21, Paragraph 2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation of negotiations with non-union personnel and conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel, individual employment contracts. Bobby Bailey, Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, Director of Extracurricular Athletics and Social Media. Peter Patrice, Security Officer. Eric Benoit, Director of Technology. Joe Brilliant, District Treasurer. Steve Cooley, Paraprofessional. Stephanie Ferrer, LPN Financial Aid Coordinator. Karen Glover, District Data Specialist. Paul Kitchen, Director of Finance and Operations. Lisa Leon, Food Service Director. Joseph Marcisson, Cooperative Education Coordinator. Bethany Mendy, Special Education Team Chair. John Narciso, Division of Continuing Education Director. Mary Elizabeth Perry, Parent Liaison, Larissa Petrasso. Accountant, Mark Rebello, Assistant Technology Coordinator. Joan Royster, Division of Continuing Education Bookkeeper. Doug Swass, Security Officer. Kobe Sylvia, Technology Assistant. Erica Teal, Lead Security Officer. Patricia Tolman, Paraprofessional. Joseph Lindy Carpentry, Teacher 8, and Rebecca Ward, Medical Assistant. And also pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21A, Paragraph 3, to conduct a strategy session with respect to collective bargaining or litigation from open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public bargaining, the chair so declares, which he has. ASME, we discuss ASME, DAA, and DTA negotiations.
And we will be coming out.
And we will be coming out to open session, and there will likely be a vote pertaining to 3.1 of the matter, Section C, individual contracts.
Okay. Need a motion to go into executive
Motion made.
session? Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Roll call.
Mr. Jennings?
Yes.
Mr. DiBiaseu?
Yes.
Mr. Deegan? Ms. Menard?
Yes.
Father J?
Yes.
Dr. Nero?
Yes.
Yeah, you can end it. It's only gonna be 1 2-second vote, you don't gotta stay around.
Recording stopped.